So, this is my fifth time trying to escape from my abusive family system. So, right now, what you see behind me is Switzerland. I'm in Zurich at the moment, and I'm been for the last month here in the Swiss Alps. And I'm gonna try to tell you and explain you my story and why I'm escaping for the fifth time to my family. Which feels a lot. So I'm 28 years old. I will turn 29 this year. I'm originally from Spain, but I lived in the US and I also lived in London for a few years. So most of my adult life, it feels like I lived outside of my culture and outside of Spain. Now, for a very long time, I thought that my family was a very good family, and I was actually feeling very proud about them. I felt even honored that they did so much to me. On the outside, you could see that my family was very supportive, like they sent me to the US for studying for a full year, and I was able to do an exchange program studying there. And they never really worry about money. I mean, they were a middle class Spanish family. I mean, they were not rich or anything, but they have a very safe and stable jobs, and really I never missed anything materially. We went on vacations a few times a year. I got presents on Christmas, and honestly my life before I turned 18 was very, very well off, or at least that's what appears on the outside. Now, on the inside, for most of my life I didn't even realize about this, but my family was extremely cruel and harsh and difficult towards me. Later on, I learned about this term called scapegoat, the scapegoat child, which means that it's someone that is taking all the emotional and psychological drama from the family, and it's kind of like a spring that tries to stop all the family drama and takes all the blame just for the system to survive. But I will not get ahead of myself. I will try to tell the story just step by step. My first real attempt to escape my family was when I was 18. I was becoming an adult. I just started to go to college in my hometown, and I just came back from studying in the States. And as most young adults, I didn't really know what to do with my life. But also on top of that, I had this kind of pressure, which it came from my family. First, they had really high expectations because they invested all this money on me to try to become more educated, to have this high top education, learning abroad, and all this investment that they did on me. And then also I had this kind of pressure because this was the age that they could legally kick me out of the house. And my mother, even since I was young, 13, 14 years old, she always played with the idea that she wanted me to be out of the house when I turned 18. This was almost like a joke around. She was always saying, oh, well, when you are 18, you can go whenever you want, or well, my duty ends when you are already 18. This was constantly on the back of my head. So even when I was 16, 17, I had extreme amount of pressure just to perform, what I'm gonna do when I'm 18. I want to be able to protect myself just in case my mother decides me to kick me out. And this was not only some superficial thing that you will say, she will actually take actions on that. She will give me direct threats even when I was young. We even have an incident when I was 10, 11 that she tried to call the police, and I really believed that she was going to take me to a boarding school or a child's prison, wherever. She was lying to me just because I was being bad according to her. So therefore, when I turned 18, all of this came on top of me. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I got kind of pushed on this kind of university degree that I didn't really knew if I wanted to do that, or I didn't really understood how, and all this pressure to become independent. And honestly, to reflect on that now, I think I really just wanted to feel peace, like to have a place that I could call actually home, that I was not going to be kicked out, that no one was going to take from me. So with all of this, I tried to search for answers, and after a very, very strong argument with my mother, that she made specific threats to me to kick me out of the house if I didn't continue into university or if I failed at university, I started to develop all this brain fog, this lack of concentration. First, I thought it was something like depersonalization, derealization. I was reading about all these symptoms and I thought there was something wrong in me. Later on, I just really just understood that it's extreme fear, extreme panic, terror that my mother was pushing on me and that she had been pushing on me since the day I was born. And with that, I decided to leave my own house. I bought a €5 ticket to the UK, to London, and I went with my best friend that he also needed to get out of his home for different reasons. And by selling our Xbox 360 at that time for less than €200, we were able to survive in London for almost a year. It was a very, very tough time. This is a completely different story, a crazy story. But somehow I was able to manage not only to survive, but to thrive. I ended up working for a YouTube channel. Back in the day, this was almost like 10 years ago. So YouTube was kind of like this new thing. And I was able to work for a podcast for this full amount of time. I started working for free, no questions asked, and I ended up being one of the lead editors and a filmmaker and one of the main content creators for the channel and able to make a living during all this time. Now what happened is that my family, after 4 or 5 months of completely silence, like no silence, I spent Christmas by myself, I didn't get any presents, not any money. Well, actually, I did get some money. It was like a €20 that my mother sent me as a present from my uncle, something like that, maybe out of guilt. But after that, full silence, because I decided to stop university and to think about what I wanted to do and maybe to do something somewhere else. My family started to reach out. And they start to become extremely, extremely mild and caring almost. Of course, they never recognized and they never mentioned that they made extreme threats for me to live in the house. This was never in their mind. For them, it was like only an argument or a thing that they said as a joke. Although my mother, she swore by my grandpa's grave, like she was like, I swear by my father's grave that if you don't go to university, you will live out the house. That was her way of saying things. But I guess they were scared and cowardly. They tried to get me back. So for the next 5-6 months, they started to do some visits to come to me. I was living in a really shitty place. I was working a lot. I was just trying to push myself out. And after 1 year full working in London, I actually listened to them and I believed them. And I decided to come back home. What it follows after, it was one of the worst experiences in my life. It was literally hell on earth. I spent the next year and a half basically in a shithole. I was not the same person anymore. My parents, they tried everything to get me back to study wherever they thought it was good for me. They even tried to bribe me to give me money. It was horrible. And I tried to push forward, trying to build a business just to get some freedom and not to be able to have to work for someone else, or at least to not be in such a strong, harsh environment like I was working in this channel, which I was working a lot, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, no questions asked, Monday to Sunday. And crazy me, my 19-year-old version at that time was able to build a business. And not any type of business, but a business that I was passionate about, which was YouTube. I was able to get working a YouTube channel with over 40,000 subscribers at that time. I mean, don't take me wrong, this didn't came from one day to another. I mean, I was 10 months with 300 subscribers. My parents, they didn't even look to me in the eye. I had to eat, for me, dinner time and lunchtime when we were gathering all the family together. Like, for me, was horrible. Like, I wanted to die every single day just because how shameful they were taking on me. My parents, they really discouraged me, telling me that I was not able to speak on the camera because I was too shy, that I was going to fail so miserably and so hardly that I will regret it for the rest of my life. And somehow I managed to take it as fuel to push forward. And after 10 months, just on the brink of quitting, I published one video that it went viral, telling one story where I was vulnerable, just like I'm doing right now. And this skyrocketed into many different opportunities. First of all, I was able to move out of my house. I went to the capital of Spain, to Madrid, to working for influencers and trying to make my life as an influencer, or at least try to survive. Long story short, I pushed so hard on this channel that I was able to reach 100,000 subscribers. I got the YouTube plug and everything, and I was able to do an event, and I produced the content, and I give my heart and soul on this project. I was doing almost, people were putting in the comments that I was making almost cinematic style content, and I thought really that I was getting it there. But money never came. Money never followed. This was for multiple reasons. First of all, because the people that they were following me on that time, they were only looking for free content. Like, they were not willing to pay for it. They will just click on a thumbnail or whatever they will find, and yes, they will be nice and they will follow me and they will even admire me, some of them, but they will not be willing to pay. And I tried many things, from Patreon to just normal types of courses and memberships and like many different types of business models. But the only one that really worked was to do some consulting for other creators and businesses, but the rates were really low, especially for the Hispanic speaking community. And it felt like I was fighting for every single euro. Like, okay, I started at 20 euros an hour and I could try to reach up, and people were like pushing down and no one was buying. It was horrible. And I was barely making enough to survive or making ends meet. So, long story short, the pandemic hit. I didn't have enough money, couldn't continue. I was traveling in India trying to make a video. I got trapped in India. I had to come back to my hometown, to my parents' town, and it was like a few years of turmoil, back and forth, trying to get out, trying to make some money, trying to thrive, and crashing again and collapsing again by whatever life threw at me. And also fighting against very bad economic hardships which comes from Spain, and of course battling with simply trying to feel peace. And I think this is very hard for people who had like a very safe and stable home when they grew up. When you have at least one parent who have like a home base and you feel stable and you feel they will be there no matter what, counterintuitively you leave the home earlier and you have more energy because you have a home base where you can stay. I mean, it's like kind of like when you are trapped in an elevator. if you feel that you can enter and leave the elevator whenever you are riding it, whenever you are going, whenever you please, you use the elevator more because it's going to take you to a place better and with less energy of yourself. But if you're scared that at any point you are going to be trapped in the elevator when you go up or go down, you will use more the stairs and you will burn yourself more. So therefore, you will depend more on the elevator. It's like a vicious cycle, you know? So in the terms of not having a safe home or a safe space, even when you were young or growing up, means that you are in constant alertness and you are in constant searching and trying to push forward and trying to survive. So the moment you get a small amount of safety net or a small amount of peace, you just take it as hard as you can and you just grasp it as much as you can, just because you never had it before. So therefore you are more bonded to whatever hurt you and whatever gave you that trauma. And therefore you go more into these loops of going into bad relationships or stay in bad jobs and stay stuck in some places. And yeah, that was my case. So well, now in this point, it's been almost 10 years, more than 10 years since I left my home and since I started this journey as an adult. Very rough journey. And this has been my last escape. I actually went to Switzerland to make a business, to work by myself. I was able to get a job, and kind of nice job, to be able to save money and to be able to save for myself and to try to build a business. And I end up just crashing out of exhaustion because it took everything that I got and even more to try to build that and trying to survive. And learning a new language, learning German. In Switzerland you have to learn also Swiss German and all the systems and protocols, and also my career has not been like as stable and as Swiss style, so it took me a long time to try to figure out that. Living in the most expensive city in the world, like it was a very, very hard time, but also it was a good opportunity because I had a friend here that he was helping me. But even that, when I was able to reach it, I crashed and burned because it took everything from me, and I snowballed down into a debt. I had debt with hospital bills, and I ended up burning all my savings and getting back into my parents' house. Sadly and interestingly, when I went back to my parents' house, my father got diagnosed with cancer. I mean, it was a very small tumor. It was prostatic cancer, so it was diagnosed in very much in advance. Like, it was very controlled. He got surgery and he recovered very fast. But for the last 6 months, I was basically, again, the scapegoat of my family. And with no money, no savings, and no income whatsoever, I had to rebuild back and had to sustain myself while I was there. In fact, it took me all that I had. For 6 months, I was like, some days, especially for the first months when my dad's diagnosis came, I was just like going to bed and hoping for the next day to just, I don't know, have a heart attack or whatever, just to get rid of all this emotional pain and drama. It was horrible, like extremely, extremely exhausting. And I had to deal with my mother, which she was still being abusive, but now in this case she was like love bombing me. So she was trying to give me all this love and all this affection, but triangulating with my father, which it was horrible. I mean, my father and my mother, they don't have a very good relationship. Like, actually it's horrible. Like, they are together, but they are not together. Like, they are married, but they are not together and they hate each other and they don't even speak to each other, but they live in the same house. I guess because they are cowards and they are not able to take a step towards getting away from each other. And they use me as a chewing gum between them and their fucking messed up relationship. And my mother, she will cook for me, but she wouldn't cook for my father in a diagnosis of cancer. Like, what in the world comes to your mind? Like, she will make the dinner for me, but she wouldn't make it for him, and it will be like this kind of weird, like, power games between me and him. And I was just in the middle of that, and I couldn't really get away from it because I didn't have the money, and I was really like just looking for, like, heavily considering to apply for social services or just go to the streets. Like, this was like this hard. And my father, although he was going through his own problems, I mean, he was not also no saint. Like, he was not good also. He took away all my property. Like, I had a car and I had a caravan, which it was my insurance policy just in case I was going to go to the streets, and he took it as his. I mean, it was not that he was going to use it, because I mean, he never actually used it, but I guess it was kind of out of fear, since I tried to leave the home so many times. And my dad, he's more of the enabler, so he enables my mom to be so bad to me or bad to everyone else, and he's just trying to justify it in his head. Don't take me wrong, I think it's as bad as the person who does it, the person who only looks at it and doesn't do anything. But at least he's more, I think he's a bit more empathetic, a bit more understanding. And I guess he doesn't want to be alone, so he just has an excuse for maintenance and repairing the caravan and doing everything like that, trying to use it as a tie to keep me together, to keep me close and to not be able to get away. He said that I couldn't use the car outside of my region because it was old enough that it was going to break down, so I couldn't really move out of my region, so I was stuck again in my hometown. My caravan was only towed by the car, so I couldn't move the caravan by the car. I was in this loop, trapped in this situation where I couldn't leave, and no one was helping me to do that. And my dad took all the emotional energy with his diagnosis. Finally, after he got surgery and he got better, and I made sure that he recovered, I took the decision to just leave. The interesting thing is that this time has been completely different from the previous ones. Every single time before that I tried to leave my home, I was doing it out of rage or fear or punishment or justice. Like, there was always this kind of emotion underlying, like saying, oh well, I will make this right. The universe will give me back where I missed. This time, I really don't give a fuck about anything anymore, and I just want to live my life. I left 1 month ago, one day early in the morning, didn't make any noise, pick up my stuff, and just left my home. Sent one text message, simple one, saying that I'm going back to Switzerland to do some work. And slowly but surely, I will cut the ice down and I will simply distance myself from my mother and sadly from my father, because he wants to keep being in that system, probably for the rest of their lives. Now I'm making this video on this new channel. Probably you see that I don't have any more videos than this, only because I want to have a fresh start also here on the internet. And I think a lot of people will benefit from my story and from my experience. I mean, at the end of the day, I had more than 10 years just escaping the world. And I think I have some interesting anecdotes and stories that I can tell, and also the emotional experience of a lifetime. So my plan here in Switzerland, now with no money, I'm taking care of cats. I'm doing house sitting. And it actually has been the best job so far in the last years, because the cats, they don't ask me anything in return. They are nice. You only have to feed them, to take care of their litter, and you have like your own space only for, they give you comfort and you earn their trust, and you have to be also quiet and comfortable towards them. And in exchange, you get a full home and you don't have to pay for rent, which is mostly my main emotional horror. And on the meantime, I'm building back a business on the side. I'm building a business helping other people to come here to Switzerland, because I had my job experience. So I have another channel where I'm helping people there. And honestly, I want to give it a try, and during all this time, during all these last months, I've been trying to do something that I was very scared, but I think it's gonna be one of the best decisions for me, and also maybe towards other people who will help them, which is going to be trying to write a book and trying to write my story down into words and trying to share it with other people, and to give back the lessons that I learned, and that probably will help other people. I'm sure that I think will help other people. So I hope you enjoy my short, crazy story. If you like to hear more stories, please leave it on the comments and I will try to make maybe a video about it. And also, if you're interested in to learning about my writing and my story more into depth, please check the link below. I'm preparing the story. It's not ready yet, but I would like to share it with people who are connected enough and maybe who need this message even more than myself.